Let's go. Sandwich. Okay. Bienvenidos, my mortals. What is tapping? Out the gate, hitting you with tap puns. Trial and error podcast puns. And there's nothing you could do about it but sit there and take it in the ear hole. Oh, my puns are fantastic. But you know it is fantasticer, other than the fact that that's not a word, is the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings, baby. Let's go. I got on the OG Delvin Cook 33 before he was foe, which I guess is his original college number, but it's all good. A nice fly purple jersey, purple people eaters, getting the job done. They're playing do or die football. They're playing as a cohesive unit. They're making themselves believe. They're making me believe. And if you don't like that, I got 3 words for you. You like that! You like that! The Vikings, they have arrived, but unfortunately, that is not what this podcast episode is about today. No, sir. Absolutely not. I had something else in mind, but I'm just repping. I'm feeling so juiced, so excited for Sundays. First time in a long time that's happened. Just in sports in general, I've been so jaded. But, let's go Vikings. I love it. Reason to believe. So, today's podcast episode, I was thinking, what the hell can I talk about that people would actually care about? Where do I have expertise? Where am I not talking completely out of my ass like 99% of the time? I figured I have a wee bit of background in something that everybody hates, including myself, and that is advertising. Yes, the mindless monster that you endure every day when you're watching YouTube, when you're listening to Pandora, Spotify, listening to AM radio. You can't escape them. They're everywhere you look. You live them and breathe them. Ads, fucking ads everywhere. And I detest what the end result is most of the time, but I'm going to shed some light on this industry that I was a part of for a little bit to give whoever's listening a better understanding of what they're seeing, why they're seeing it, and maybe when they see ads, they won't see the mind-numbing message or endure the manipulation that the ads are intended to do, because they're just thinking, okay, why is that there? Why did they choose this song? Or what is the overall message? Who's the target audience? What have you? I'm going to give you a different lens to see advertising through, so they're not as irritating, but more of a mental exercise of what the hell they're trying to accomplish. And most of the time, I'm just sitting there I still have the end result. I'm just drooling because I'm so bored and just like, what the hell am I watching right here? This makes no sense. If anything, I'm almost more infuriated because I know what creativity is out there. And then by the time the finished creative product hits the TV screens, it's just this steaming pile that is so different most of the time than what the creative folk come up with. If only the clients had some balls. But anyways, we'll get there. Advertising. Where do I begin? I was taking some notes before this. Walked across to Lake Solano. That's the thinking spot, baby. What a beautiful spot. Go and visit Lake Solano, damn it. Donate a little money there. It's a beautiful spot. It's where I go to take some notes, and I'm thinking, where am I gonna start this advertising industry, this creative mind manipulation, this multiple billion dollar industry? It starts with ad agencies. What are ad agencies? It's a building, location filled with a bunch of creative people that are trying to sell their creativity to who? Clients. Who are the clients? They are big name businesses. They're mom and pops. They're middle range businesses. If you're selling something, you have a need for advertising. And that's why major advertising hubs are in places like San Francisco, New York, London. Those are big ones. LA, Chicago, Sydney, Tokyo, just major cities where there are many HQs of big businesses and companies and celebrities, what have you, wherever there's a brand, sports teams, whatever there is, wherever there's a logo, whenever you see billboards, whenever you're at a bus station, you see signs, whenever you're in the subway and you look up, you see the bar of just something clever, or those posters, whenever you're on your phone, and you're scrolling down goddamn Instagram. You're on a website. You see the little bar or something flashing. That's all advertising. There are ad agencies or public relation agencies responsible for that. Every second of the day you're seeing it. You see you're in an airplane, fly by with a bandana or dragging something behind. The Goodyear blimp. It's all advertising. It's everywhere. The world is lousy with advertising, and it's these ad agencies that make it so. So you ever adding? There's big ones. There's Whited and Kennedy, which I believe is the one for Nike. You get like these brands, and these ad agencies are doing all the creative work for these brands. The brands pay the ad agencies. That's how the ad agencies make their money. They're the ads, and then they do business with TV broadcasting companies like CBS or Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, whatever, MTV. There's so many different levels to this of when certain airtime is. If it's prime time, that's why ads cost so much damn money in the Super Bowl, because everybody's watching. There's more eyes, and there's statistics that show X amount of people are going to be watching this ad at this time. That's why the budgeting's huge. There's so many different levels, and when you see a finished ad on, like, say, the Super Bowl, there's so many logistics. There's so many layers. There's so much legal. There's so much everything. It is wild how much goes into it. So, yeah, but we're gonna dive into that shit. So before that even happens, before say it's just a naked ad agency, and there's a big company, say it's Nike. Everybody knows Nike. It's familiar. Nike's like, well, we need to rebrand, or we need to sell a certain product. We got a new shoe coming out. We need something. There's always a need. It could be a product. Could be a complete rebranding. I'll get there later. But say it's just what product XYZ. And then they'll have these agencies come in and they'll have meetings. They'll do examples of what the type of work they could do. This is what we're capable of. Here's our creative side. Here's our flow. Here's our philosophy. And here's how we think we can best represent you through these example ideas. You'll get mock images, maybe like some low budget stuff. But you want to put a lot of effort into it. Say you'll have 3 ideas to be able to show them. There's only so much time. And like the other ad agencies aren't in there. They're not going to see. But it's just you and the client. It's just a business room. You got your PowerPoint or Keynote. Some people use Prezi. I despise Prezi. I can't even keep track of it, but that's just a personal thing. So say your ad agency, like, Skull Creative, goes in there and we're like, Nike, we think we can do this. Here's this idea. We're thinking about these celebrities. Here's potential budgets. You go over so much, and you'll get about 3 ideas, and then there's even strategy to how you present your ideas. Do you want to go the heavy hitter first, like what you think your best idea is out the gate, and then the second 2 aren't doing as good, or do you want to do the 2 kind of ideas that you're presenting, 2 comprehensive ad campaigns? Are we going to do that first and then lead up to like the bomb to hit the client with? Like what you think your best idea is? Give it some thought. Like, how would you strategize 2 ideas, or maybe even give them like a special 4th one. Like, hey, like we're a little ahead of schedule. We can give you like one more idea we just had kicking around just for shits and giggles. Just kind of, because for me, when I'm giving a presentation, I like to make it somewhat formal, but at the same time have it kind of conversational, a little back and forth in between my slides and whatnot. So if you're like, you can get there, that's where just salesmanship, craftsmanship combine to sell creativity. It's a kind of a cool concept. You're selling your creativity. And say they like Skull Creative, Nike's like, you know what? Fuck yeah, you got it. You have our contract, kid. Here you go. Now then the real work begins. Landing a client is just the beginning. You got to get them first, and that's why there's really big ad agencies, and they'll have their laundry list. Here are the clients we've worked with, and you can even whip that out. Hey, Nike, say Skull Creative, we worked for big baller brand. No, we would never do that. You want to represent a client that is also a reflection of yourself in terms of values. No big baller brand. Say we did Adidas, we did the 530 sneakers company, and one a little, or whatever. The laundry list is like your resume. You're peacocking. This is who we've worked for. This is the work that got us recognized there. So you go to any go to Goodby, Silverstein and Partners. You go to any ad agency, type in San Francisco ad agencies, a bunch will come up, and you'll be able to see what work they've done. You're like, oh shit, like that they did Geico commercials, they did Old Spice or whatever. It's very niche, but it's out there, and you can see who's responsible for what, which is kind of cool if you're in the ad world, because it's a very niche world, but it affects everybody else, which was makes you feel special a little bit. Hi, Kit. Nobody's as special as you. Get over here. Oh, I didn't have to pick her up. Look at her. She's ready to roll. Look at her. She's naked. Doesn't even have a collar on. No leash. No nothing. All right. Don't step on the computer, you little shortcake. Rumble. Look at her. If you're watching on YouTube, behold the cat. Hey. Oh, if you're only listening, you're missing out on some great cat content. Here you go. Lay it down. Chill. So, the work begins. All right, let's see. Meeting comes. All right, yeah. You're creative. All right, so you have a creative director. You're usually like the head honchos at the ad agency, and they're the ones who sell the end product, along with maybe some copywriters or art directors, whoever's responsible. But that's in a second. Let's see here. I'm looking at my notes here. All right. Oh my god. Oh no, I went a page over. Damn it. No wonder. Kit just moving everything all the way. All right. So okay, now it makes sense. Say your ad agency gets picked. All right. That's good. Now, let's meet the team. Let's meet the team of Skull Creative. You're going to have a creative director. They're like the general. They're the one who says yay or nay to things. They're the one who approves it all. They get the final say on what their team comes up with. And they'll give feedback every step of the way. Hey, we have these ideas, whatever. And they're usually an older person that has many years, at least 10 years of experience in the ad agency, the ad industry. And they're like that. Yeah, they're the head honchos. Then you have your copywriters, like myself. You're the wordsmith. You're more reliant for your creative thinking, critical thinking, connecting dots, finding clever ways of saying things. There's a lot of copywriters who also get into comedy because you're able to say things, you're able to come up with wacky ideas and creative ways to interact with people and to impart a message. So that's a copywriter, all words, but then you got your art directors who are just Billy badasses, these just unsung heroes. I mean, they're sung heroes. It's just there's so much artistry. There's so much art that goes into advertising, whether it's digital or any. Look at the billboards. Look at the ad. Look at the ads and realize, okay, humans put this together. Think of the art that went into it. There's Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign. There's styluses. There's pencils. Say you're selling a product where it's better to do traditional art or in some regard. There's the possibilities are endless. That's what makes this industry so wild, because the more creative you are, the more jobs you're going to get, the more recognized you'll be, and the higher up you'll go, the more money you'll make. Quite a lucrative industry, but I mean, don't plan on having a family or any you time, because it's just long hours, but there's nothing else like it. I'd say just this wild ad world. But you got your copywriters, art directors, and everybody has their specialty, and that's where just directors do more than just movies. You can do ad spots. You can think of some super, I guess, one of the most well-known video shots, because ads are just mini movies, I guess. It was a Super Bowl ad for the new Apple Macintosh, and it's off of, I think it was Brave New World, and it's an image, I think it was directed by Ridley Scott, and this chick is running through these rows of people that are getting spoken to by Big Brother. They're all looking up at this screen, and she has this sledgehammer and just hurls it into the big screen, shattering it and breaking everybody's trance with Big Brother and just getting mind controlled. The Apple Macintosh, blah, 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 blah. That was, I think, the most winningest and most popular and grandirized ad of all time. And just in terms of its impact and whatever, and just technology was evolving. And that was a cool time, 80s, 60s, 70s. what a cool time to be in advertising, because you can get away with anything. You can say anything. It was the Wild West when it came to creativity. You look back at old ads and you're like, how in the hell did they get away with this? Or this dicey ass, borderline homophobic or racist slogan or whatever. One comes to mind. It's not bad, but it's you only really see nicotine and tobacco ads and Playboy magazines and whatever. And at the landfill to be working, and you see them on the ground. Of course, you're going to take a peek. It's Playboy. And the ad's hilarious. It was for a Juul, electronic smoking. It says nobody likes it. The tagline, nobody likes a quitter. You're not going to smoke cigs. You might as well do electronic cigs. Oh, delightful. Anyways, I digress. Art directors, and then so those are the 3 other entities, and then you get your account managers. These people are crucial to the success of the overall creative team. These are the liaison between the ad agency and the client, the business people. They're the ones setting up meetings. They're doing communications. They're figuring out who needs to figure out what logistically, what legal matters we got to do. They are the manufacturers, the operators. They're the lubrication that keeps the gears turning, or otherwise the machine would break down. Account managers, lifesavers, grinders. Gotta love them. And that is essentially the team. That's an ad agency. Yes, you have your secretaries, custodians, interns. There's just a lot that goes into it. A lot of people doing budgets, account manager, those types of accounts, budgetary accounts, because boy howdy, all the creative has to come with a budget. And there's the multiple layers. Say Skull Creative is like, hey, this shoe commercial, we're gonna have the new punter Wright from the Vikings. We're gonna do a sneaker ad for him where he just kicks everything, and it's going to be hilarious and funny and all that good stuff. So that could be one of the ideas, but you have to have a budget because you have to get a film crew. Maybe your agency's balling enough. You have your own film crew. You have your equipment. You have to go to different sites and make sure you have all the permits to film there. And you have to get the actors. You have to get them scheduled under contract that they're going to work this many days. And then there's accommodations you have to get. There's so much that you work into the budget, and you have to do all this legwork before you even come in. If you go into, it's called a pitch meeting. That's when you bring your creative after, say, a month. Yeah. It's like, that's where it goes down. That's the show. Is the client satisfied with what they're paying for? And if you fuck that up, it's really awkward. You don't want to be there when it happens. You don't want to give your client a reason to dislike what you're doing. Otherwise, they're going to be looking for another ad agency, and you'll be the one that let the big fish get away because you didn't do your job. It didn't translate. And you'll see a lot of instances of that where there's a super successful ad campaign, and then they'll go a different direction or whatever, and it's just not as funny. Or you'll see them try different angles. Like Carl's Jr. is an example. They have no consistency in what they're doing. They don't have a most interesting man in the world. They got nothing like that. They used to go hard with the boobies. That was their brand. Just scumbags. All American boys eat their hamburgers and staring at them boobies. Carl's Jr. Now they're just whatever. There's a yellow star that has silly voices, I guess. But oh my God, there's so much digression. But you're going to stick with it. You're going to love it. So anyways, before the pitch meeting, that's the final thing. I'm just skipping all over the place here. You have statistic teams. All right. Advertising and what goes into everything. It's not just for the sake of it. Everything you see, you're meant to see. Everything you're hearing, the way things happen, the way you see them, when you see them, and why you're seeing them. You specifically, me, a 32-year-old white male in Northern California. They got this information by hook and crook. They'll get it, or they'll have what's called focus groups, which is your key demographic. So say we're Skull Creative is selling this new Nike shoe. Helps you kick farther. It's a wild success. We come with this ad campaign, and we think that what we take into account, there's gender, the age range, say male 25 to 40. You get their education level, their average income, geographic location, what they value, what their day-to-day is. So as a copywriter, you're getting this information. The numbers don't lie. You're getting this information. Then you have to find an ad school. You have to find an ad or an art director, or hopefully you jive with the art director that's already there, because you guys got to come up with an idea. You're a team, and you got to come up with the idea. You got to bullshit, sniff a bunch of coke, and just put whatever ideas on a whiteboard. Then you got to formulate something. Maybe there's another art director and copywriter getting after it to create something for your art director. Different teams working on one account. Who's gonna win? Who's got better ideas? Who's gonna be the go-to duo for the next big project? Who's gonna be the go-to person that the creative director wants working on these big dick cases? Working on these big fish. Very competitive, this field. Very competitive. But there's a lot of, I guess it depends on who you are. It's very small. They tell you not to burn bridges, which you shouldn't do in general. But it's a very niche community. And if you're an asshole in one agency, word's going to get around because people know people. So often. It's not even 3 layers of Kevin Bacon. It's like 2, possibly 1.5 in the ad world. And a lot of times, everybody that I interacted with when I went to ad school and went and visited different ad agencies and intern, dope people. Nobody really stood out as a dickhead, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe some people a little arrogant, what have you, but you got to be about yourself. You got to be confident in what you're creating, because it's like, to express your creativity is to be vulnerable in a certain regard, unless you're just balling and people love what you do and then your shit don't stink. Anyways, you're considering all this information, coming up with cool ideas. So we come up with whatever, and then after all that's considered, to come up with ideas, I guess this is the biggest part in creativity. We're creating ideas to present to your client. You have to establish an insight. What is an insight? It is the seed that you plant that an idea can grow from, or an ad campaign can go from. Usually it's one idea with 3 separate executions of the one idea. An insight is a truth. An insight is something that when you tell somebody it, they're like, oh yeah, I totally get that. I identify with that. It's what you laugh at when you hear a joke. That's why when I said copywriters can be like comedians, it's because they're good at digging up that insight, that inner truth that your target audience identifies with and will please them. Because they're pleased, because you have connected your advertising, your idea, the insight with what they believe in, they are going to, it appeals to them. And when you appeal to them, they're like, well, okay, let's see this product here. This product speaks to me. It's a reflection of myself. I can see myself wearing these right-on shoes, these kicks. I love it. These kicks, football. The shoes in the shape of a football, whatever. But they'll love it. These kicks. Kick the football. It's perfect because he's a punter. Oh my god, these ideas, you guys. That's how the creative process works. It just fucking comes. You can't force this shit. That's another element to this shit. There's days you're not coming up with a damn thing, and you got a deadline at 4:00, and you've been doing blow since 10:30 a.m. the previous day because you can't come up with an idea. Sometimes you gotta go for a walk and take your mind off it, and then it comes to you later. It doesn't come at all. It's so crazy. You can't will or force creativity. You can only create the circumstances that give you the best chances of capturing whatever it is in the ether that we call an idea. The moneymaker. God, look at me rant and digress. I care not. Creativity is fluid. Anyways, establish the insight and let's see, connected product. Yeah, connect with the people. We come up with these ideas. We have the ad campaigns. I'm just recapping here. We have a great commercial. Here's what Skull Creative came up with. We have him in an ad. Maybe has some hot sauce or something like that. Maybe have some socks. My buddy and I came up with sock insurance one time for this one brand. It's like if you lose one, then they'll send you another. Sock insurance. Excuse me. Anywho, great ad ideas. fantastic. We go to the pitch meeting. We pitch the ideas. And they love it. The client, Nike's so happy. They're stellar. They loved all three. We're like, well, we'll somehow work all three of these in. This is the best creative stuff we've ever seen in our lives. Us, Nike. We usually speak in the third person, but you've humbled us with your creativity. My God, take all this money. And then you get all the money. And then oh my God, you have fun creating this ad campaigns. You make it come to life. At least that's what happened in ad school. When you leave ad school, they clip your wings because there's budgets and legal and all the bureaucracy in the world, all the red tape that keeps you stuck to reality. It sucks. That's why ad school rules, because you can do whatever you want as long as you have an art director good enough to make it come to life in some kind of way. Oh boy. Ranting. All right. There is one story. I read this book. It's called Haggerty on Advertising. It's on the shelf over there. And this British guy is just a big dick in the ad world back in the day. And they went to one pitch meeting. They had this great idea. I forget what they're selling, but their idea that in which they were pitching to the client, classic big old rectangle table, just stooges sitting there listening to what you have to say. And their idea included a blue fly swatter. And the client stopped the meeting. It's like, yo, we need a different idea. I had a bad experience with a blue fly swatter once. Deadpan, serious. They did not know how to rally. They did not know how to recover from such a comment. Such a nonsensical and irrational fear just derailed the entirety of the thing. It had nothing to do with it's just so funny because we're not selling it to him. We're selling it to your people. Anyways, your customers. That's how horrible a pitch meeting can go. Is just you're dealing with these, a lot of times, uncreative humans that get what they want. You can have the most creative ideas in the world, but if you have a dildo of a client that doesn't like it, or they're just not feeling your vibe and not letting you do your job. I mean, sometimes they could be right. Like, this is too crazy, or this doesn't, they do know their brand, their product, but they have to trust the creative. It's called the creative. That is the industry term of what is presented to the client. Oh, have you double checked the creative? Can you send me the creative in an email at 0600? Anything. The creative. So, but Skull Creative doesn't have to worry about that because we landed Nike. This is the next best thing since Air Jordan. Instead of Air Jordan where he's doing this, it's going to be like an upside down version of Wright just kicking his legs up like this. It'd just be perfect. It's going to be a perfect ad campaign. I'm going to send this podcast to Nike. Sign right now. Let's go. Creating this ad campaign as we speak. All goes well. All right. So there's different types of ads. So those are kind of traditional that we've all seen the on TV, YouTube, whatever, like all the different media you consume. But there's also experiential stuff that maybe you have or haven't come across, but they're cool little pop-up shops or, like I said, experiential things you can do. It might be at Coachella. There's different types of stuff where it's like a light company or audio company, Dutch Brothers. You could just do whatever. If it's culturally relevant, you can do a lot of cool stuff in a certain city. Like, what did I have here? Yeah, so like I had an idea for like pop-up, like whatever city, you have a pop-up and themed Airbnb. Say it's in New York. Obviously, you're going to have the friend's couch or at Central Perk or one of their apartments. You just renovate a room to make it look exactly like it does in the show. Maybe, I forget, maybe in Pasadena, one looks like it's Big Bang Theory. It's Sheldon Cooper's and what's-his-face's living room. That'd be cool. Even The Simpsons. I think they already do this, by the way. It's not an original idea, but that's what sucks when you think you have a really good idea and you Google it and somebody's already done it. That fucks. Oh, it kills you. Another experiential one that I thought was awesome was it's when Lance Armstrong was still unfound out, was still roiding baby, but he had his Live Strong campaign, another campaign. Jesus Christ. I was going to get to it later, but when you have the right endorsement by a celebrity and or athlete, the combination works very well, and it seems believable. An insight that hits hard and hits home is genuine. It's pure because people sense bullshit. If you're trying to sell them snake oil, they know it. Especially a message. And so Lance Armstrong beating and fighting against cancer, live strong, it empowers you. It's the feeling of empowerment. You want to be a part of it. It's a cool little rubber band. It's such an easily recognizable message that you're saying, hey, this is what I'm about this life. And those rubber bands really caught on. So it's all about trends, and to be as strong, to fight like Lance Armstrong. Hell yeah, I want to do that. So what Nike did, I think you could go online and you donate whatever to cancer research. And then they had this chalkbot go on the Tour de France route. And then whatever your message was, it would put it in chalk on the asphalt. So when there's the overhead camera, the popular one, like there are always overhead cameras for the Tour de France, they'll go over the bicyclist, but the messages will all be there. All along the routes, they had these messages, different language, messages from loved ones to another. They're going through something, what have you. Kids over here causing a ruckus. But something experiential like that. There's a lot of cool stuff, and there's a lot of great ideas out there. God bless it, cat. I caught her. Silly little shit. All right, now I'm going to just hold you here. All right. So, yeah. We've gone through quite a bit. Experiential. Depending on the balls of the client, the creative will thrive. I had this other idea, God bless it, for Adobe, but never came to fruition, to promote Adobe, say Photoshop or Illustrator, whatever creative artistry. They wanted, I had this, I like augmented reality ideas. So say you have your phone, have a certain app or whatever, or you get to this website, maybe there's a QR code somewhere that immediately turns your phone to this website that you can quote unquote paint the city. And so when you're VR, you can see how other people have painted, the buildings will be interactive. You could paint them. You can put stickers, messages, whatever debauchery, it's creative. And then whoever has this VR set up on their phone, they could look at it too and add to it, put stuff on the ground. They could paint the entire city in this virtual reality, which I think is kind of cool. But we'll see if it happens. Give it a year or two. My FBI agent will send all these ideas, these tremendous ideas. And then I would highlight, see what the power of advertising. Look at or watch the And One little documentary on Netflix, and that was a dope brand. Talk about ad agencies can really help you establish a brand if the company doesn't have one already. And just the And One brand, when you think about it from an advertising perspective, pretty dope, urban culture type vibe. It was really cool. When you think of the demographic, they're not going after the middle-aged housewife in urban America. They're going after the young African American in the inner city. They're appealing to such that, and that audience radiates. It's hip. It's what's now basketball, street ball became such a thing. It's a really dope documentary of how they kind of advertise themselves and establish your brand, your personality. Your brand is your personality. And if people get down with that, they want to emulate that. And One was so cool until Nike came around. There's so many other reasons And One, went bankrupt and fucked up. But Nike had that ad campaign. They say in the documentary that one where it's Jason Williams, it's black and white, and he's dribbling under his legs. He passes its different players in the NBA, and it's kind of that beatboxing with the squeak of the shoes, the dribble of the ball, swish, all basketball noises. And that kind of destroyed And One because Nike out streetballed them in a way. Because there's some dope, white chocolate, Jason Williams, the truth. He is the truth, not, who is it? Paul Pierce is the truth? No, it's Jason Williams. Love me some J. Will. Anyways. And then we got, what else? The most diabolical of all advertising, if I may say this, because I watch SpongeBob from time to time. I'll go into Nickelodeon. Holy crap. The ads that are geared towards children is not only mind-numbing, but it is sociopathic for whoever's creating it to approve this message for kids. It is get your sassy new Barbie doll that's going to make you feel more like a girl and more it, or you can be like a little boy, get the shoot 'em up race car Hulk puncher bang 'em up toys that explode in 3 different colors online. It's outrageous how they are targeting these kids and just the obnoxiousness and the mindlessness of the message they're sending. If the kids are indeed enticed enough to lift their heads up from their phones while they're watching cartoons, they're going to see these ads, and it's just going to pick them apart because the toys look super radical and new. It's action packed. It's feminine. It's all geared towards kids with parents that have bank accounts, and those kids are gonna bitch and moan and yearn for these possessions, these toys, these things these kids can't live without. By God, the ad industry, look at you go. And now it's just so fucking mindless what ads have turned into. There's so many incredible examples out there, and the creative aspect of advertising is so pure when it hasn't been watered down by shithead and uncreative clients or silly circumstances or anything. When you go to ad school, which is most dope, you are surrounded by pure creativity. And there's some amazing individuals I went to school with that are super successful in their advertising fields. I went the way of the newspaper. Not as much money, but hey, I still get to be creative. And that is, it's an itch that only creating can scratch. And it's cool just to have been around that, how ad school works. To get a job in an ad agency, you have to go to ad school. It's a 2-year just money suck. Like, they have a mother and father who I could not repay them enough. You go through it. It's kind of like a trade school, and you go the way of the copywriter or go the way of the art director. You have to choose your decision. You choose your path, because they're 2 wildly different experiences. And if you suck at art, might as well be a copywriter. I realized, I like art. I'm okay at Photoshop, but not nearly to the level. You could definitely see the difference in what you create and what the capabilities are. There's some hybrids, which is pretty dope, where you can think artistically and like uber creatively with your words. And that's not to say art directors don't come up with awesome ideas all on their own without the help of any copywriter. That their creativity is just a thing. It's genetic. Like, art directors are definitely capable of it. I just felt that when I was going through it, that it was kind of copywriter, since you're not doing it. It's easier to write words than put in that much detail into art. I'll just tell you that right now. The capacities, the workloads, one does not take as much time as the other. So heavy the creative load, get through it. But if you have a dope art director, yeah, you might get little bickerings here and there if you're trying to. My idea is better. Your idea is better. It's then, like, how do you compromise? But so it's cool. You learn the ins and outs of the industries of the industry itself, and you can have internships. Like, from there, you create a portfolio, and your portfolio is filled with prospective work that you've done, creative work. And if you get to go to if you get an internship and you work on a project, you put that as real world experience in your portfolio. If your portfolio 99.99999, aka all the time, it's a website. Mine is trialandaaron.com, and I'm trying to, it's a Wix page. I'm trying to figure out how to get my old ad work, keep it in there, as well as what my bread and butter is now, which is the Trial and Aaron podcast and my writing. I want to put up my short stories and everything like that, and memes, just whatever creative stuff I come up with. All on the website. And if a creative director at an ad agency likes your style, likes the way you write, likes the way you think, if it jives with their creativity over there, like, hey, we could use you, get on over here. Or you could be a freelancer. You just hop from project to project, which usually takes a couple of months, but that's how a lot of people butter their biscuit. And you go to ad school, you get a portfolio, you self-sell, you get hired, you get fired. It's a conga line. You'll spend at most a year if you're out of place, and you'll go from ad agency to ad agency. That's just kind of the way it is. You move around till you find a spot, put in a couple of years, become a senior copywriter, senior art director, what have you. Then your resume builds, and if you feel like being a creative director, you can do that. But I feel like it would be less fun because you're not the one creating anymore. You kind of guide it. And which is it's pretty interesting skill, because I was an intern at this place called Cutwater in San Francisco, and the guy who created Got Milk, what the hell's his name? Goofy looking dude. Had no ass. Smoked like a chimney. but wildly creative dude, just a big dick in the ad industry. And damn, what is the name? But I guess he got milk from a focus group because they're trying to sell milk, and they gave him like cookies and stuff like that, whatever. And like that was in the waiting room. They didn't have any drinks. They just had whatever snacks in there for people while they're waiting to do whatever surveys or anything like that. And they kept asking, "Hey, got milk? Got milk? You got anything to wash this down? Got milk?" And that was fucking slogan. That's the insight. Like got milk. Oh, hey, kitty. Moving forward, yes, you get hired, and then wild story. Kind of wild story. This one lady I knew in advertising, super dope lady. I was an intern for her for like a year until she moved on to work at Netflix. She's a dope ass lady. Got me a raise and everything, just a ride or die. And she was a account manager, and she was at this ad agency one time, and she walked into the creative director's office amidst him banging an intern. It's scandalous. Like I said, it's a competitive field, but god damn, like that is just so scummy. She couldn't believe it. I forget if she reported or something. Like, she has integrity as a person. I think she caused a stink. Hopefully she did. It was just so like, what? That actually happens? And of course it happens. Of course it happens. Where there's power, there's corruption, and there's sexy young interns that need to make their way in the world. Terrible. And there's also the most self-serving aspect. I mean, it could be considered a what's it called? Celebration of creativity, but it's also very self-serving in S-ing your own D kind of festival. It's known as Cannes Lions, and there's different. It's the Oscars of the ad industry, right? And there's different types of awards. There's different, not just Cannes Lions, but there's other organizations that put together these big events where a bunch of people come and they'll see what creative stuff has happened, even from ad school students, the big agencies, so many different categories and whatnot. And the guy, I think his name is Chuck. It's Chuck. I can't remember his last name. Anyways, that's the guy that came up with Got Milk. And his office was filled with a number of these prestigious awards from the ad industry. And my buddy David and I came up with this idea. It was mostly him. I had my like fingerprints on the project as well. But I'd say he was the spitter of the idea. One person has the idea, you know what I mean? Anyways. It was called Bob. It's an acronym for biodegradable something buoy. Can't remember my own goddamn word, but it got second place in this category at this international awards thing. Cannes Lions takes place in Cannes, France, and this biodegradable observation buoy. Let's go! I remember. It's incredible. Look at me remembering things. Yes, this buoy would check water temperatures whenever, say, fishermen could go out, because David was an outdoorsman, and this would track the temperature in whatever streams, and then based on that temperature, it could be normal or whatever. It would send information to a central hub where planetologists and ecologists and biologists, all of them, all those guys, they'll get the information and be able to make necessary adjustments or planning or schemes, what have you. But this buoy, wherever it is able to detect temperature and other, hopefully, we have wild technology these days, hopefully more than just temperature. But anyways, you get the idea. Bob. And it's more like, we didn't really have a brand we could connect it to, but that was like part of the charm of it, because we could brand this to, say, Cabela's or the North Face, whatever outdoor entity, like REI, like their Opt Outside campaign for Black Friday, closing on Black Friday, the Stones, but that shows that we're about it. Of course they close on Black Friday, because you're inside on Black Friday. Go outside. Hey, silly cat, go outside. We'll be here when you get back. Jesus, what a campaign. I don't know if they're still closing on Black Friday, but it's so on brand. It makes sense, and people sense that. They get that. And it's awesome when it hits. It might not entice someone to actually buy something, but when you see something you actually identify with, when you compare whatever mindless fucking T-Mobile commercial you see on Monday Night Football with Opt Outside on Black Friday, we're closing on Black Friday. What is more impactful to you? What makes you feel more like a human being, like you're actually valued? The most mind-numbing examples of advertising right now, it's like insurance commercials, Geico, like they'll make you laugh a little bit. Insurance is mind-numbing. Car commercials, cell phone and network commercials. Good God. Get whatever celebrity endorsement. If you're not there, make it some kind of crazy digital spectacle. It's a car. It's a car, but they're trying to sell you a lifestyle. But it's a car. Like Lincoln. You want to be like Matt McConaughey? Get a Lincoln. Oh my. You want to be dancing and raving? Get a Scion. Go get a Fiat. Oh my goodness. It's wild when you connect the brands and watch the ads with this lens and just realize, okay, they're trying to target this person. I try to figure out who they're targeting, what's the insight, what's the message of this ad, and say watch the Super Bowl, you're gonna get Napoleon. You're gonna get yodeling or like throat singing like Sheldon Cooper would do from the Himalayas, and then it's gonna be some like Diet Pepsi commercial. Like what the fuck? A lot of them just make no sense, but they have millions of dollars to throw at this ad campaign, neuter it of all creativity whatsoever. Come up with this goofiest shit you could possibly think of. Don't trust the ad agencies. They're just going to try to facilitate it, but yeah, it just sucks when you see the ad campaigns out there today. This is why I say I hate it, because it's just, from what I experienced in ad school to just that utter and sheer creativity and how much it just blows everything you see out of the water in every regard, in terms of the creativity aspect of it, the uniqueness, the message, the comedy, or just the look and the style. My God, what we see today is just horrendous. It sucks. And AT&T, oh my, it all just bums you out. Bums you out because it could be so much better if those in charge, the uncreative, just let these ad agencies, let these go hard creatives do what they do. Sometimes they miss. I'll straight up. Sometimes they're set up to fail. Is what it is. But there's definitely a lot more that goes on behind the mind-numbing ads that consume your soul a little bit more every day. And I know as I'm talking about this, there's a lot more I could talk about the ad world. I realize I jumped around quite a bit, but there's just that's the ad world. It's crazy. It's loco. Everybody's on coke except for me. I've never done it, but no, seriously, I just have the sniffles. But yeah, ad industry in a nutshell, it is trying to manipulate you, and when you get a chance to see it in its purity in some way, you have a really good idea, respect it, because it's one of the special ones that got through and actually meant something. But in the meantime, until the next tap, go Vikings, Skull. Skull all day. I love it. I love you, Kirk. Lead us to the promised land, baby. Bye-bye.
You lose. Good day, sir.